All of our productions at GCTV are sponsored in part by Bay State Health, providing the care you and your family need when you need it close to home. Visit them online at baystatehealth.org. Greenfield Savings Bank. Visit them at 400 Main Street in Greenfield. Call them at 774-3191 or go online to greenfieldsavings.com. Greenfield Community College, providing access and excellence in higher education in the Pioneer Valley. Visit them at gcc.mass.edu. The Hammond Family. The Hammond family are longtime supporters of Greenfield Community Television. New Fortune Chinese Restaurant on the Mohawk Trail in Greenfield. Visit them online at newfortunema.com. Call them at 772-0838 and check them out on Facebook. Real Cleaning Services, cleaning Hampshire and Franklin County since 1972. We don't cut corners, we clean them. Check them out online at realclean.com. Call them at 413-422-1143. People's United Bank, located at 45 Federal Street in Greenfield. You can call them at 774-3713 or visit them online at peoples.com. The Solar Store of Greenfield, replacing fossil fuels and nuclear power one home at a time. Visit them at 23 Fisk Ave. Call them at 413-772-3122 or visit them online at solarstoreofgreenfield.com. Thank you to our sponsors for supporting all of GCTV's productions.
Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to see a good crowd here. Greenfield Cooperative Bank is really thrilled to be able to do this. I mean, there's a reason the Swiss are the world's bankers. Don't ask me what my opinion is on any of these opinions, but we're real pleased to get the word out there, and also a chance to bring some of our staff. We have a lot of our mortgage staff here, Jane Trumby and her crew, April Healy here, and we're real thrilled to welcome back Missy Tatro to our team this year. So if anybody needs a mortgage or a deposit account, they're the folks to see on there. And then, oh, excuse me, sorry about that. That was the Donald, I'm sorry. He's tweeting out this dangerous practice of being friendly with a political opponent has got to stop. So maybe Massachusetts will set a good tone for this. But I'm looking forward to hearing the speakers this morning and getting more information so you can make an educated choice about our ballot questions. So thank you very much.
So now onto the program. The Franklin County Chamber of Commerce is pleased to present this panel on the 3 ballot questions that will appear on the ballot on November 6th general election. The board of this chamber is committed to providing educational forums such as this one in order to educate members so that you can make informed decisions on election day. We have invited organizations promoting the yes and no sides of each ballot question to present their positions to you here today. Each side will be given up to 4 minutes to speak. We ask that you please be respectful during the presentations and refrain from negative or positive responses. Questions will not be permitted during the panel due to the limited time, and I know everybody needs to get to work at 9 o'clock. But each of the speakers has generously agreed to set up shop in the back room. Each of them have a table, and you can go into the back room. There are 4 tables set up, and have individual conversations with all of our presenters here today. And so I thank them for staying a little later afterwards to take those questions and have those conversations. So we'll start with question 1. Question 1 is a law proposed by initiative petition regarding patient-to-nurse limits. This proposed law would limit how many patients could be assigned to each registered nurse in Massachusetts hospitals and certain other healthcare facilities. The maximum number of patients per registered nurse would vary by type of unit and level of care. A no vote would make no change in the current laws relative to patient-to-nurse limits. A yes vote would limit the number of patients that could be assigned to one registered nurse in hospitals and certain other healthcare facilities. Here to speak to the no on question 1 side is Ashley Mancini from the Coalition to Protect Patient Safety. And to speak to the yes on question 1 side is Suzanne Love from the Committee to Ensure Safe Patient Care. Ashley, would you like to start?
everybody. Nice to see everyone this morning. It's nice and bright and early. So thank you for inviting me here to offer my perspective on question 1. I became a nurse because I truly want to make a difference in people's lives. I want to support patients and their families during the most frightening and vulnerable moments in their lives. Let me give you some examples on how question 1 would affect my daily practice as a nurse. If we had patients waiting in the emergency room and a nurse felt like they were able to accept another patient outside this rigid ratio, the nurse would be placed in an ethical dilemma. Either we accept the patient and provide the amazing care that we know we can provide, which would find the hospital, or make the patient wait in the emergency room. If question 1 passes, we need to recruit 50 more nurses. We currently have 20 open positions. Recruiting is very difficult. This ballot does not account for the difference of staffing ratios on the night shift. This is using extra valuable resources that could be used elsewhere. If we are not able to recruit enough nurses, we will not be able to admit patients without breaking these ratios. We estimate that 10,000 patients would be affected. Up to 300 mental health patients would be turned away, and an estimated 5,000 to 10,000 emergency room patients would not be able to receive care at Coley Dickinson Hospital. The Massachusetts Health Policy Commission released an independent study of how mandated nurse-to-patient staffing ratios would affect the Massachusetts healthcare system. Question 1 most likely would result in no systematic improvement in patient outcomes. California has a mandated ratio, these mandated ratios for over 15 years. It's been studied. Massachusetts performs better on patient outcomes. As a nurse, I was taught to be flexible, adjust to change, use my education and experience to make decisions to provide the highest quality of care to all of my patients. Question 1 would take all of that flexibility away. Nursing is unpredictable. Nurses need. Our patients need us to be flexible. These ratios we're talking about are actually patients' lives. We need to take this bill seriously and think about the lives we could be negatively affecting. Nursing is not just my job, it is my professional career. I am dedicated to these patients and I'm dedicated to these patients and the care I provide. I do not want this law to affect the type of care we provide in any way. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Good morning. My name is Suzanne Love, and I'm one of the emergency department nurses here at Bay State Franklin Medical Center. And I also do volunteer work with the Mass Nurses Association. In particular, I've been working quite a lot to get this law passed for some of the same reasons that Ashley talked about not wanting to pass: patient safety, patient care, and improvement of patient outcomes. So there should be limits, and this law will put them into place. Today, you're only admitted to the hospital if you are extremely sick. It used to be that you could be admitted to the hospital for some rest and respite. That's why nursing homes are there for people. There's home care for people. If you're staying in the hospital, you are quite sick, and usually it's quite complicated. You need a skilled nurse to take care of you. Because it's complicated, you need a nurse who can provide the time and attention that you need. My job as your nurse when you come into the emergency department is to be the overseer of the complicated practice of solving the mystery of why you've come to the ER. So the best way to do that is for me to have the time to give you the attention that you need. We have support staff. They are not going to be relieved. They're not going to be relieved of their duties as part of passing this law, because we need the support staff too. It's not just about nurses. It's about the whole team coming together to provide care. We are there to administer and monitor your reaction to medications, to monitor and dress surgical wounds, to manipulate all the sophisticated technology that goes into providing care for people. We also have the task of educating you. Becky talked about being an educator. Nursing is education. We need to teach you how to you and your families of how to help you go home from wherever you are to be able to keep on living the life that you want to lead in the best way that you can. And the way that happens is with some good nursing education. That takes time. Higher patient assignments are associated with more complications, patient deaths, medical errors, and readmissions. Readmissions are really costly. Hospitals don't get reimbursed for those readmissions. In California, readmission rates have gone down. Cost per patient care has gone down with the 14-year very good outcome experiment of a safe patient law. 6 other states are looking at this. International health agencies have weighed in and are watching Massachusetts for us to be the kind of change that we need. We can be a leader here, along with California, to improve patient outcomes with a better nurse-patient experience. There's no law in Massachusetts unless you're on the ICU. There's careful guidelines on the mother-baby unit. This law that we've crafted reflects that. But otherwise, there's no cap right now for how many patients a nurse can take. This will improve patient outcomes. This will provide the kind of flexibility that we need to provide the right kind of patient care. These are people's lives that we're dealing with. As an emergency room nurse, when I have a critical patient come in, if I get another critical patient, the odds are that the one that I already had will not do as well. The odds go up that someone will have a medical error, that will face more medical complications, the more patients that I have. It just makes sense that you need to have the right kind of nurse-patient relationship to have success in the hospital. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Suzanne. We really appreciate that. On to question 2. Question 2 is a law proposed by initiative petition regarding a commission on limiting election spending and corporate rights. This proposed law would create a citizens commission to consider and recommend potential amendments to the United States Constitution to establish that corporations do not have the same constitutional rights as human beings and that campaign contributions and expenditures may be regulated. A no vote would not create this commission. A yes vote would create a citizens commission to advance an amendment to the United States Constitution to limit the influence of money in elections and establish that corporations do not have the same rights as human beings. There is no group formally opposed to this ballot question. However, the Secretary of State asked the Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance to write an opposition statement for this year's voter guide. The Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance was invited to participate, but could not attend this morning's breakfast. Here to speak to the no on question one side is Mark Abramson. He will read the official statement from the 2018 voter guide. Here to speak to the yes on question 2 is Janice Stone from People Govern, Not Money. Mark, you want to get started?
The following information is from the Mass Information for Voters Guide. The Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance stated opposition is twofold. The Alliance contends that the controversy surrounding the Citizens United decision hinges on our cherished right to freedom of speech. In the decision, the court ruled to expand the freedom and apply it equally to all entities and organizations rather than just the arbitrary list of winners and losers selected by elected officials in previous campaign finance laws. The Alliance believes that this is a good thing. The First Amendment protection of our freedom of speech is one of the pillars of our democracy and should be preserved and expanded at every possible opportunity. The less government standing in the way of the exercise of that right, the stronger it is. However, even if you disagree with the Citizens United decision, an amendment of the United States Constitution is a dangerous and misguided way to go about undoing it. The Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance asks voters to vote no on this question, and you don't have to give me applause. Thank you.
Janice?
Hello. So I've been a volunteer with People Govern Not Money for the past year collecting signatures, and now I've been promoted to speaking, so it's been quite an experience. Ballot question 2 addresses the enormous amounts of money channeling into our political system these days, causing huge amounts of corruption in the government. A yes vote on question 2 would serve to create a nonpartisan citizens commission, a panel of 15 citizens at no expense to taxpayers that will do basically 2 things. 1, research and report on the effects of dark money and large amounts of money donations going into our political system in Massachusetts. And 2, to craft wording to send to Congress for a 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution to put reasonable limits on election spending and establish that corporations and unions do not have the same rights as people. Question 2 is part of a national effort to get a 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution to control the corrupting forces of big money. Already 19 states and 800 cities and towns have called for a reversal of the Citizens United Supreme Court decision that opened the floodgates to unlimited spending in our political system. These votes of support have been overwhelmingly nonpartisan, passing on average by 70%, even in towns like Janesville, Wisconsin, home of House Speaker Paul Ryan, to the over 200 towns in Massachusetts. The Massachusetts legislature has twice passed resolutions supporting writing a 28th Amendment to the Constitution to overturn Citizens United. Versions of the 28th Amendment have more than 40 co-sponsors in the U.S. Senate and 150 in the House of Representatives. A constitutional amendment is a big job, yes, but we've done 27 of them in our country, 6 of them since 1961. Constitutional amendments are often done in times of great national turmoil, times when citizens wake up and realize things are really bad and something needs to be done. They are passed when people rise up to change for what is no longer tolerable. Now, we're not proposing a constitutional convention. We're just proposing the legislative process going from states to Congress and back to states again. With yes on 2, Massachusetts is part of this strongly nonpartisan national effort to end the corrupting forces of big money in government. Supporters include Massachusetts U.S. Senators Markey and Warren, and Congressman Jim McGovern and Joe Kennedy, Governor Charlie Baker, Boston Mayor Marty Walsh, and many others. Right now in our country, money, not the will of the people, is the biggest factor in determining who gets elected and who holds power in America. This was not always the case, and we can change it. We need to take back our rights as citizens and individuals. So I hope you will vote yes on question 2.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Mark. Question 3 is a referendum on an existing law regarding transgender anti-discrimination. This law adds gender identity to the list of prohibited grounds for discrimination in places of public accommodation, resort, or amusement. Such grounds also include race, color, religious creed, national origin, sex, disability, and ancestry. This law prohibits discrimination based on gender identity in a person's admission to or treatment in any place of public accommodation. A no vote would repeal this provision of the public accommodation law. A yes vote would keep in place the current law, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender identity in places of public accommodation. The no on question 3 is organized under the name Keep Massachusetts Safe Committee. The top organizations supporting this position are the Renew Massachusetts Coalition and the Massachusetts Family Institute. The Massachusetts Family Institute was invited to participate, but could not attend this morning's breakfast. Here to speak to the no on question 3 side is Mark Abramson. He will read the statement from the official voter guide as he did previously. And here to speak to the yes on question 3 side is April Griffith from Freedom for All Massachusetts. Mark?
Here I am again. And I do want to reiterate that I am reading from the Massachusetts Information for Voters Guide and have injected nothing into this. According to the Keep Massachusetts Safe Committee, voting no repeals the bathroom bill law and prevents men from entering women's bathrooms, locker rooms, dressing rooms, and intimate spaces. The committee argues that the law violates the privacy and safety of women by allowing any man identifying as a woman, including convicted sex offenders, to share women's facilities. Under the law, any attempt to block a man from entering a woman's locker room, dressing room, or bathroom could result in individual penalties of up to $50,000 and a year in prison. The committee contends that businesses are also affected, like a female spa owner who faced discrimination claim for declining to wax the genitals of a man identifying as a woman. No law should make women or girls feel unsafe and exploit their privacy and security. The Massachusetts legislature passed a law that goes too far, even refusing to include a provision to exclude convicted sex offenders. The committee asked voters to vote no to protect women's privacy and safety. Thank you.
Hi. If I'd known Santa was here, I would have brought my Christmas list and probably wouldn't have sped so much on the drive up. So my name's April Griffith. Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing Yes on 3 to speak, even though No on 3 didn't show up. So we're fast approaching a historic election, which I know you guys get told that every single election cycle. As it stands right now, all of New England has protections for transgender people, like the laws in Massachusetts. If we repeal them, we would be the first state in the union to actually extend these protections and then take them away. And that would leave a large hole in the middle of New England. And I understand this group is also to some degree, Board of Tourism, is that correct? Regional tourism. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the North Carolina effect. Pretty sure most people here are. It's what economists call the results of the HB2 on the North Carolina economy, and it's going to, even after the law was repealed, according to the Associated Press study, cost the state of North Carolina $3.76 billion in lost revenue from tourism and multiple businesses and conferences avoiding them. And I don't know about you, but I prefer Massachusetts not to have the Massachusetts effect added to the lexicon of economic blunders down the road. Stripping transgender people of basic protections in an attempt to hinder sexual predators is faulty illogical thinking that harms a minority group and without actually doing anything to hinder sexual predators or protect sexual assault victims. Sophie Hansen, a sexual assault survivor and Yes on 3 donor and volunteer, said, "If the No side really cared about sexual assault survivors, they would support effective methods for reducing sexual assault, not roll back basic protections for transgender people." So the No on 3 campaign is going to claim they're trying to repeal these laws to protect women and children, but they do so hypocritically. Repealing the protections for transgender people does nothing to protect cis women or cis children, but places trans women and children directly in harm's way. I wish I could have brought some of the large, bearded, muscular trans men from the Yes on 3 campaign to show you what would be walking into the women's bathroom if this went through. So this is not an insignificant number of Bay Staters being affected by this either. The new census data shows it's between 150,000 and 200,000 citizens of our state, which is roughly the size of Hampshire County, actually a little more. And so this would be repealing the rights of that many people, like an entire county's worth of people in this state. I just want to ask a few questions really quick, and you just show raise of hands. How many people here know a transgender person? Good, good. How many people here have experienced discrimination based on gender, race, religious, anything of that sort? I'm noticing most of the hands that went up were women's. And so this is a law that is designed to impact trans women's ability to move through society in an attempt to protect women from men. And so it's something that I'm sure a lot of women here have experienced, where your rights and your movement in society was restricted supposedly for your own safety. And so this is, in voting for yes, you would keep protections and not limit other women's rights to move through society. The No on 3 campaign uses scare tactics, like the ones mentioned. But in a study from the Williams Institute published in the Boston Globe in September, that was shown that the 2 years prior to the law's implementation in 2016, followed by the 2 years after, between then and now, there's no difference in sexual assaults in the bathroom. There was no difference before the protections existed, and there's no difference after, except for that trans women experience less discrimination, less harassment, and less assault. So vote yes for truth, vote yes for equality, vote yes on 3. Thank you.
Thank you, April. Thank you, Mark. So you can get the voter guide that Mark was reading from directly from the Secretary of State's website. You should have also received it in your mailbox. It has a red cover on it. You can now currently early vote in many of your communities, so you can go to the Secretary of State's website and find out exactly where you can early vote in your town. And of course, the general election is on November 6th. As a reminder, at the end of the breakfast, all of our panelists have tables in the back room, so please, if you do have any lingering questions, engage them, get the information that you need to make an informed decision on November 6th.
All of our productions at GCTV are sponsored in part by Bay State Health, providing the care you and your family need when you need it close to home. Visit them online at baystatehealth.org. Greenfield Savings Bank. Visit them at 400 Main Street in Greenfield. Call them at 774-3191 or go online to greenfieldsavings.com. Greenfield Community College, providing access and excellence in higher education in the Pioneer Valley. Visit them at gcc.mass.edu. The Hammond Family. The Hammond family are longtime supporters of Greenfield Community Television. New Fortune Chinese Restaurant on the Mohawk Trail in Greenfield. Visit them online at newfortunema.com. Call them at 772-0838 and check them out on Facebook. Real Cleaning Services, cleaning Hampshire and Franklin County since 1972. We don't cut corners, we clean them. Check them out online at realclean.com. Call them at 413-422-1143. People's United Bank, located at 45 Federal Street in Greenfield. You can call them at 774-3713 or visit them online at peoples.com. The Solar Store of Greenfield, replacing fossil fuels and nuclear power one home at a time. Visit them at 23 Fisk Ave. Call them at 413-772-3122 or visit them online at solarstoreofgreenfield.com. Thank you to our sponsors for supporting all of GCTV's productions.